Good evening, Mrs. Salcedo. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for coming on this evening. This episode of the Town Hall, I wanted to take an opportunity to put a face to the coronavirus, the COVID-19, and I wanted folks to see someone that has kind of been infected, has gone through it, was impacted, and for folks to be able to put a face to the epidemic. So let's take a few minutes. I'll let you introduce yourself and tell us how you got to the point of working within the medical field.
My name is Amilka Salcedo, and I've been in the medical field for a very long time. I work at Columbia Presbyterian, and I've been there for a couple of years.
Hmm.
Different departments, but about five years.
Okay, okay. So jumping right in, you're at Presbyterian Hospital. You're starting to see the news about the virus going around. At the beginning, at the onset, what's the hospital telling you? Like, what are the folks at your job kind of telling you about what's going on?
So at the beginning of when the gentleman got infected from was it Westchester, I believe.
Hmm.
He was actually in our hospital, and things just started very slow. There was nothing really said for the first week. Then the second week, we got some paperwork to kind of start telling patients follow CDC guidelines, washing your hands, keeping distance from anyone who's sick, and it was very casual. There was nothing where the social distancing yet or anything. So it was very light. I guess we didn't know how far this was gonna go.
Hmm.
So then I believe going into the third week, 2 weeks
Hmm.
after that, I guess when we ever the news, people started getting infected, and he was traveling and on the train going to work, and as things, as things, sorry, I lost you there for a second. As things got worse, then they started saying that we were going to start to stagger staff at the hospital.
Hmm.
So meaning there will be a group one and group two. Group one will come a certain amount of days. Group B will come in a certain amount of days, and so forth.
Hmm.
Um, I unfortunately, I only used the staggering for the first week
Hmm.
because people started getting sick,
Hmm.
and starting being there was a possibility that maybe they were they were close to someone who had the virus, so they had to quarantine from home.
Hmm.
So after the first week, I worked 2 days at home, and then after that, which was I believe was with mid March,
Hmm.
I had to come into the office because there was no one else to come in.
Hmm.
So I was coming into the office every single day, and
Hmm.
I would travel by bus, and then I got sick, and then I
Now,
just
during this time at the hospital, were you getting like equipment? Was this like, did the social distancing stuff start yet? Like what were the next steps as far as precautions for the hospital?
so the hospital, I believe that was the third week of when everything started, and we got one surgical mask
Hmm.
um, per employee.
Hmm.
And that was the only thing. And then we got a little bit of these sanitizers, little things, but it was nothing else.
Right,
That was it. And you were
right,
expected to come into work, do your job, and
of
go
course.
home. But there were there, it wasn't too much protection at that time.
Okay, okay. So then I guess fast forward a couple days, and what is the first symptoms you're starting to feel? What's the first thing that's kind of making you nervous at this point?
So the first thing that happened here was that my daughter Yenny got sick,
Hmm.
and she developed fever and body ache. And she wasn't, I thought it was kind of just like a regular cold.
Mhm.
She didn't get tested. And while she was sick, she was still going to her classes, which was virtual at that time.
Mhm.
And she got sick on a Thursday, and by Sunday, I want to Saturday night, she was fine.
Mhm.
So she was okay. But then Sunday came afternoon, and I was feeling crappy. I had chills,
Mhm.
and my body just felt like it was just different.
Mhm.
It just felt like it was like, oh, I'm coming down with something, but you know.
Mhm.
And I laid down.
Mhm.
I took myself to bed, and Sunday to Monday, I had fever, had the chills, I had the body ache, and something with the eyes. Like you feel like your eyes are heavy, and the light is bothering you, and it like pain in your eyes.
Mhm.
I even felt pain kind of in my hair for some.
Wow.
I don't know. I couldn't have a ponytail. I couldn't have anything in my hair.
Mhm.
My head hurt. Like it was pain. Like I got hit by a truck by Monday morning.
You started feeling that by Sunday. By Monday, you're starting to feel the pains all over your body at that point, right? So we're talking about
Yeah, it was
within 24 hours,
24 hours.
you're already in severe pain at that point. So what's running through your mind? I mean, I know there's anxieties, fears, everything going through your mind right now.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I woke up, and I'm like, I gotta call work because
Hmm.
I definitely at this time we were working from home. That Monday we started working from home, and I'm like, I can't do this. Everything hurts. So I emailed my supervisors, and I asked them. I said, Is there any way that I can get tested at work? Please let me know so I can go over there and get tested."
Hmm.
So I got an email back from one of my supervisors saying, I put the order in, head to the hospital and go to the 14th floor and get the test done.
Hmm.
So I went to the hospital. My husband took me to the hospital, and went to the 14th floor and did the test for the virus. It's very uncomfortable, and it's
Hmm.
just annoying.
Right.
But anyway, by the time progressed, I came back home. I was feeling even worse by the
Hmm.
time I came home, and it was just really bad. By 4:30, 5 o'clock, I got a text saying I'm positive. I need to quarantine and I need to stay away from everybody else at home.
Okay, so you get this text. It's probably one of the most scariest moments of your life, right? Coming to your phone via text.
Hmm.
What's that feeling like? You open your phone, you look, and they say positive. What's the first thing that runs through your mind?
I was scared. I was
Hmm.
scared. I was devastated. I was just thinking about my family, and was just worried for everything at the same time. And I just kept looking at the text like it's positive. And the first thing I did was call my husband over and said, "It's positive. I have COVID."
Right. And so I'm sure that, your first concern was your husband because, your husband is, for full transparency, he is a recipient of a organ donation, right? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, my husband has a kidney transplant, and
Hmm.
his immunosuppressant is always suppressed because
Hmm.
of his transplant. So I was worried for him
Hmm.
more than I was for myself. Um, and it was just scary. It was
Hmm.
just scary. I mean, watching the news every day, and knowing that I had it, that it came so close to me, and I was scared.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have, a husband at high risk. You have two kids at home. Um, but what were your options at that point? Because, the first thing they say, oh, you need to quarantine, but you're the mom. You're living in the house with two kids and a husband. What does quarantine mean right there?
It means stay in my room and no contact with anybody else, which is very difficult.
Hmm.
I'm also asthmatic, and I
Hmm.
was worried for my breathing as well.
Hmm.
I didn't know what was the next step. I didn't know what was gonna come after.
Hmm.
I was just kind of like just in my bed, just waiting for whatever else to develop, and
Mhm.
afraid, frightened.
Mhm.
And then, thank God my husband, unfortunately, he took care of me. It's difficult when you live with more people in a small apartment and you have to share everything.
Mhm.
And they all, you kind of the one who kind of makes everything, and being sick just doesn't help.
So you're getting sick, you're getting worse, and so we'll use the COVID terminology, right? So you're getting sick, you're getting worse. When does the plateauing begins to happen? When does that moment come when you're saying, I'm starting to feel a little better? When does that start to happen?
I was sick for about, I want to say, 10 days straight,
Mm,
with everything at the same time. And it was scary. I mean, I didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel until after those 10 days.
mm,
I cried. There were mornings that I cried. There was morning that I felt hopeless. There was
mhm.
mornings that I felt like I lost my faith. Uh, There were times where I would just sit in the window and look outside and just, am I gonna get any better? I remember the nurse supervisors at my department texting me and asking me how I felt every single day, and all I kept saying is, when am I gonna start to feel better?
Mhm.
And she replied, I mean, she said minimum is 14 days.
Wow.
So you're sick for 14 days with these symptoms where you feel you're wiped out.
Mhm.
Literally, you're wiped out. You have no energy. You can't get off your bed. I mean,
Mhm.
it's horrible. It's
Right.
not just like a regular cold where you sneeze, okay, I have a cold, but I'll get through it. Let me tell you,
Mhm.
you feel like they threw you against the wall, and you just feel it. Just imagine all these symptoms at the same time.
Right.
Thank God, I my breathing was okay, which is what I was worried about. But I
Mhm.
had my asthma machine, my nebulizer, and I used things. But imagine having all these symptoms at the same time. No
Yep.
appetite, you can't
Yep.
smell anything, you can't taste anything, and all you could depend on is Tylenol.
I've heard so many people say that the biggest thing that's important during those moments that you're sick with the virus is that you can't have a sense of like, oh, I'm gonna just lay here and just give up and stuff, right? Because it just continues to attack you and take over your body. When did you feel
Mhm.
like you started to kind of fight? Like, oh no, wait, like I can't let this take over everything. I have to start
Mhm.
fighting back. And what did that look like?
I think it was on I want to say on my sixth day.
Hmm.
I started walking around my bed,
Hmm.
slowly, little by little, because I had to exercise, or kind of feel like I was doing something
Hmm.
so that I kind of shake it off. There was points where I would sit here where I'm sitting next to the window. I tried to start getting out of the bed as much as I could.
Right.
Um, and what else did I did? And then I started texting family members and talking
Hmm.
to them on the phone, and they giving me strength and telling me, this is, you're gonna be okay, and and I kind of found my strength, fighting myself with this virus.
Hmm.
And then, then when I decided that, that's when I started to say, okay, I'm gonna feel better, and I'm gonna continue to fight this virus right now.
Hmm. You know,
And I
our
just,
our governor, um, in one of his statements to the state, he made a kind of a bit of a controversial comment where he said, "We're starting to flatten the curve, but um, God didn't do that. Prayer didn't do that. We did that." Um, was there some prayer? I mean, do you feel like like prayer is important? Being optimistic, are those
yeah,
things important during this time?
yeah, being spiritual in your own kind of way, and getting that support from family members and people just just I'm praying for you. You're in my prayers. Just having that said from other people, and within myself, I started doing it myself. Like, my God, give me the strength to get over this virus, and it helps. It helps.
Good, good. And so, what would be like the biggest piece of advice, you would give folks, when they get either that text that says that, or that doctor message that says, yo, you positive for COVID-19. Like what would walk them through, like, what their mind state should be at that point.
Yeah, I'd say to people, even before you get that test, to stay home,
Hmm.
to kind of like don't go outside unless it's really 100% necessary for you to go outside.
Hmm.
This is no joke. This virus is no joke. I survived it, but there's many people in ventilators, and there's many people sicker than me. And unfortunately, we've lost a lot of people, and we just need to stay home. We really need to stay home.
Yeah, you provide a fantastic perspective, because not only do you work in the medical field, you've been infected yourself, you're also a parent, you have two kids at home that are trying to do this homeschooling, and then you have to be a part of that as well too. You are
Hmm.
also, a wife. You're living in New York City, the most infected area in the entire country. Those were a lot of elements to battle, and it seems like you're kind of coming out on the other side of it. Has this changed your mindset of anything? Like, eventually, we're all going to get out of this, right? There's going to be a life after COVID, but this experience change you in any way?
It changed me. It changed me a lot. I mean, I, I don't. It's hard to explain in a way, but it's I've lived something that I've never lived before.
Hmm.
This pandemic, all this stuff where social distancing and everything. Um, but it makes me even more how can I tell you, more aware of, like, we have to really, like, continue the CDC guidelines without pandemic or not. Like, continue to wash your hands, and
Right.
and all the stuff to do. Because we kind of just rush into our house with, our shoes on or everything. We don't wash our hands, and we've been on the train, on the bus, and
Hmm.
but it changed me. It changed me in a way. You have to really follow the stuff they tell you to do, and try to stay home, and try not to get infected, or if you are infected, try not to get other people infected, because you save lives.
Do you feel like your community leaders, your elected officials, local, state, federal, do you think that they've been doing a good job, with the management of this pandemic?
I've been watching the news a lot. I mean, if it comes up from the president point of view, I think every day is nonsense. Coming down towards like the New York governor, I think he's done a great job on trying to get everything that us New Yorkers need, or for anybody who's in hospitals, or our heroes, our doctors and nurses. I think he's done a tremendous job. But local, I haven't really heard of really anybody, to
Hmm.
be honest with you.
Hmm. Hmm.
I kind of feel like we're all together on this, but we're kind of all together on this by ourselves.
No, it makes sense. I mean, because they're also dealing with, the pandemic themselves as well too. But I continue to tell people that, during these times like this is when you really truly know who's going to step up, and these type of pandemics shed light on who people truly are, in moments of that they're needed and their leadership is needed. I continue to tell everybody around them. Look around, make sure that you understand who your local officials are right now, what they're doing during this time. If they've done a good job, you praise them. But if they haven't done a good job during this time, there's going to be a time that we're going to have to hold everybody accountable. So I think I always want to make sure that we give that message out to everybody as well too.
Mhm. Yeah, you're totally right.
So full disclosure to all our viewers, I'm very happy that this has kind of come out to be a good story because, of course, you and I are brothers and sisters. So I am super happy that you are feeling better. I myself was very worried when you told me that you were sick. It was on my mind the entire time. I was one of those people that was driving you crazy, texting you every day, FaceTiming you every day. So there's an experience that happens with an entire family when somebody says that they've been infected. It does have a ripple effect throughout an entire family. Like everybody's worried, everybody's upset, everybody's going through it, and so it's important that people understand that is when they see those numbers of infected and they see those numbers of people that have unfortunately passed away, you got to multiply that by a lot by who's truly being impacted.
Mhm. I kind of just wanted to say that there's a question there regarding Tylenol and ibuprofen. Ibuprofen is not um, proven that makes COVID worse. I took ibuprofen, which is Advil as well as known, for my pain because it was just the pain was I can't tell you how much pain I had.
Hmm.
But I took ibuprofen and I took Tylenol and I alternated between them. There's no such thing as ibuprofen being worse for COVID. However, that was told by my primary care doctor. And again, everybody's medical background is different.
Hmm.
So for me, ibuprofen did work in with Tylenol. The
Hmm.
other thing I also wanted to kind of say is that I'm happy I didn't go to see my mom, during when I felt good, but at the same time I kind of had the virus because it takes a couple of days to kind of develop in your body.
Yeah.
So I was happy I didn't go visit her or go over there because God knows what could have happened. So that's another point that even if you don't feel like you have symptoms is a big reason why you should stay home because even if you might have it and you might give it to somebody and you don't know.
Yeah, and I would also encourage you to ask around because you are returning to work, right? What's your return date?
I'm going back to work on Monday.
Okay. So, I would also encourage you. I'm hearing a lot of hospitals asking about folks that have recovered from the COVID because there's antibodies that people carry as well too. And so you might be also be able to help those that are infected by possibly donating some of your blood that most likely have some of the antibodies right now in it. So when you return back to work on Monday, I would encourage you to maybe ask about that as well too.
Actually, they already sent me an email from the hospital because of my records came out positive. They're already asking me to kind of volunteer for the program, and I have the consents to kind of sign them and send them back. I wouldn't feel paranoid in a way. I think that maybe because I had it, maybe I won't get it again. I don't know if I will get it again. I think this is so new. We don't know if it's like if you get a cold today, will you have it in 6 months? So I don't know, but I do want to see my family. I want to see my mom and I want to see my everybody. I'm just kind of like, I want this to be over.
Yeah, I think we're all gonna come out of this with a little bit of nervousness, a little bit of even trauma, just because we're gonna when we eventually do step back out outside, we don't know what the environment is gonna look like, and so it's gonna take time. It's gonna take time for a sense of normalcy to come back into things. But again, I am very happy that you are well. Good luck on Monday. Please, give a kiss to the kids for me. Please tell your husband I said hello, and I'm really happy that you are healthy and well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the interview. And I just hope people stay home and follow the CDC guidelines. This virus is no joke. This is serious, and it will wipe you out.
Mhm.
And if you live with other people, they will get infected. It doesn't matter what you do. Everybody's gonna get infected if you're in a small apartment living with other people.
Mhm.
So, this is not this is it's serious. Stay home, wash your hands, and just quédate en tu casa.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, thank you so much. We'll keep in touch. I know, and folks, if you have any other questions, you can DM her. You can see, you just look her up on Instagram. And if you have any more questions for her, for myself, again, I appreciate you coming on.
Stay healthy, people, and I can't wait until this is over and hug everybody.
All right, sis, be good.
Bye. Good night. Thank you.